Hi, it's Jim Wright, and we're talking about this trip of a lifetime, 14 days to Egypt, Israel, and Jordan. And we want to give you some ways of being prepared for it. Now, I know it's a long way off, but believe you me, this time is going to fly. And if you aren't prepared next December or January, you're going to be scrambling. You don't want to do that. And so we're going to give you some things that you need to start thinking about. Now, we're assuming that you're registered, you're ready to go, or at least you're thinking about going. These are things that you need to start thinking about. Okay, don't need to jump on them because I'm recording this here in January of 2023. We're not going until January of 2024, but you still need to start thinking about these. The first thing that you need to think about is your passport. Okay, now they say that the time to do your passport is between 6 and 9 weeks in advance. And to that I say, baloney. You need to get it before then. Let me tell you why. Uh, you and I have heard these horror stories about people who sent in their passport applications and then something happened and maybe it got lost in the mail and they didn't know about it or maybe COVID hit or some other disaster and suddenly everything or there's a sudden influx of people coming in and they have the problem is that you don't know what's going to happen. If you want to be sure to have a passport and be able to go with us, you need to act. And I would say don't act in less than 3 months in advance of this trip. And so next August, September, you need to be making sure that your passport is ready. Now, if you have your passport, you need to check it. Okay? Check it to make sure that the expiration date is after July of 2024. If it isn't at least August of 2024, you probably ought to get that thing replaced. And you say, but that's 6 months after we get back. Yeah, and they kind of expect you to have that. And these countries are kind of funny about it because they want to make sure that if you get lost, decide to stay, have a medical emergency or whatever, that your passport covers you for at least 6 months in case you stay there. And never mind the visa problems that would create. But you need to have a passport that expires after July of 2024. Okay, so at least August of 2024. Check it because if it expires before then, you're going to want to get it updated. Sometime this summer, probably August, September, you're going to want to go through the process of sending that in, getting it renewed so that you can be ready. Now, let's talk a little bit about visas. Don't worry about the visas for Israel and for Jordan. Don't worry about the visa for Egypt either. But in Egypt, you will walk up to a counter, you will give them $30, and they will give you a visa. You put in your passport, and the world's a happy place. But that's the only place where you're even going to even know that there's a passport, a visa thing going on. So you don't have to worry about that. Another thing you're going to need to start thinking about is how do I want to carry my important documents, my credit cards, my passport, anything, driver's license, maybe a few medications, any medical information. There are things that you do not want to lose, and you might say, "Well, I always carry those in my back pocket with my wallet." Don't do that. These countries have some very talented pickpockets, and I found out the hard way this year. And you know what? I had it in my front pocket, and yet on the subway there in Rome, I still got pickpocketed. And you know what? It happens all the time. So you're going to want to avoid that. The best way to avoid that is to put it in some place that a pickpocket can't get at easily. They'll see you and want to go to something easier. My wife always carries her valuables, her passport and everything in a pouch around her neck and underneath her shirt. And that way, it's out of view and nobody sees it, nobody wants it. And it's so, you know what? Uh, that works for her. It doesn't work well for me. I've seen other people who like to carry it in what we refer to as a pregnant snake. easy for me to say. One of these belt pouches that you put on and it hangs down, and that's a possibility as well. Ladies, if you're going to want to take a purse, I would suggest that you not keep your passport or money in your purse. You might want to keep it in that pouch. But if you still need a purse for other things, get one that is, across the chest and longer strap, and always wear it, if you put it on this side, put the strap on this side of your neck, and vice versa. That way it makes it very difficult for them to steal it. But even so, I wouldn't put my passport in there. And you might want to put that in a pouch. These are things you need to be thinking about, because if you're like my wife, you're like, ooh, I can get that at a resale store, or I can get that at Goodwill, or I can get that. I just go on Amazon and go click, send it. Uh, but in any case, you need to start thinking about that. Another thing that you need to start thinking about is your credit cards. You need to have at least one credit card that has no foreign transaction fees. Okay, you need to look for that. Go to your credit card's website and look for no foreign transaction fees. And if your card does not have foreign transaction fees, they'll tell you about that. If you don't see it in the description of benefits for your particular card, then you need to assume that they're going to charge you about $5 to $8 each time you use your card in a foreign country. Now that's on top of the fee that the money that you're going to lose when you go from dollars to either the Egyptian pound, or the Jordanian dinar, or the Israeli shekel. You're going to lose a little bit of money on that just through the transition. So why would you want to pay a foreign transaction fee for your credit card on top of that other loss? Now, most of the places we go are going to accept credit cards, and so this is one of the best places, or best ways for you to pay for the things that you purchase on this trip. Now, you're probably going to want some cash as well, and we'll talk about that a whole lot later on. We'll talk about ATM fees and that type of thing. By the way, my credit card, I have one credit card that refunds me ATM fees anywhere in the world. When you pay that, somewhere between $2.50 and $5 each time you use an ATM, it goes and refunds that to me. So you might want to check on that as well. And then you need to think about your electronics. What electronics do you want to take with you, and how are you going to charge them? The rule of thumb is take as few as you can. If you're one of these people who has to have your laptop with you all the time, good luck. Hey, I'm that way too. But we're going to be probably leaving our laptops in the hotel room while we're out touring, or in the bus. And by the way, that's very safe. We've never had anything stolen from the hotel room or the bus. But do you want to take a chance with your laptop? My suggestion is find something like a tablet if you need it, or the phones nowadays are great. At least a lot of phones are great. I mean, when we first started touring with Pilgrim, I had my video camera that I took everywhere, and carried a big pouch, and Myra had her camera, and now we just take our phones, and a lot of these phones have wonderful cameras and wonderful video cameras, and so that's probably the way you want to go, because you're going to want your phone with you anyway, and you can carry it right with you all the time. So that's something. But how are you going to charge it? We're going to be talking. We'll have an entire video just on the conversion from 220 to 110, and whether you want a converter or an adapter, and then the 3 different countries we're going to, and what to do there. We're going to have a whole video on that with pictures, and so we'll not talk about that right now. But I would also suggest that you invest in a battery backup. Now, these things are not that expensive, $20, $30, but if you get a good one, you can charge your phone multiple times off of that, and whether you're in the airport or in the hotel, that would be a worthwhile purchase. Get yourself a battery backup. I mean, here's the one that I have, and it works real nicely, and it works very quickly. And so get a good battery backup. Now, the last thing I want to bring up is temperatures. We're going to be traveling in all of these different places, and you might think, oh, we're going to the desert. It's going to be hot. I don't think it's going to be hot anywhere we go. Here are the temperatures, okay? And take a look at that. Cairo, a high of 70. Now, this is an average high, okay? This is what you can pretty much think in terms of. It might get colder, it might get hotter, but this is average and this is probably likely. But notice Petra, 60, okay? Perfect walking weather. And there's a lot of walking to do in Petra. Amman, 56. Tel Aviv, 64. By the way, in Amman, we're probably going to be, last time we went to an outdoor restaurant in the evening, and it was a little cool. They had heaters, and they brought blankets and put us around. It was great. Truly memorable. But you might want to be prepared, and I would say for sure take a jacket, hoodie, whatever you need to do. Tiberias, 62. Now, Tiberias is right up there on the Sea of Galilee. And the Sea of Galilee is beautiful, but it's going to be cool. Dead Sea, 70. This is down at Masada. And right there on the Dead Sea, we're going to talk a little bit about, what you're going to want to take as far as swimwear for the Dead Sea. Nobody's going to make you swim if you don't want to swim. But I love doing it because you float right on. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. And then Jerusalem. You say, ooh, Jerusalem, 55 or about high. That's cool. Well, keep in mind, Jerusalem, they call it Mount Zion. And in the Bible, it always talks about going up to Jerusalem. It's not talking about up as in north. It's talking about up as in elevation. And so it's higher than the rest of the terrain, and so it's going to be a little bit cooler. They have told me that there is the possibility of even some snow. They say it's extremely rare, but we should be aware. Now, don't bring your parka and your boots, but think layers. If you bring a jacket and maybe a hoodie and a long sleeve shirt, you're going to be prepared for anything nature goes and throws at you, so don't worry about it. Just start thinking in your mind. I know the guys are like, why do we need to think about that? We'll just wear whatever we have. Yeah, but your wives don't think that way. And so you need to be thinking long term. Anyway, this is long term thinking that you need to be aware of. And I hope it's been helpful. Now, we're going to have a lot of videos to come, and they're going to prepare you on some of the specifics. And so just keep these things in mind. All right. Well, we're looking forward to this 14-day trip of a lifetime to Egypt, Jordan, and the Holy Land of Israel. And we're looking forward to going with you. Are you ready?